Okay, level 2 of XEI 502 is writing expressions, equations, or inequalities with a single variable for common pre-algebra settings. Level 2 of XEI 502 is writing equations, expressions, and inequalities in one variable for common pre-algebra settings. So let's look at some examples of what that means, because it's a very broad skill. Let's look at number 5 first. Danielle is doing her math homework. She finishes each problem at an average rate of 12 per hour, and that's supposed to say 12 problems per hour. So each hour she accomplishes 12 problems. Whenever you see the word per or rate or each, so words like that are going to indicate that that is our dependent coefficient. So that's the one that's going to be on your variable. Okay. Write an equation that represents the total number of problems Danielle finishes, with T representing the total problems completed, and H representing the number of hours she spent on her homework. So if you want to know how many problems she did, you're going to have to multiply her rate, which is 12, times the number of hours. Okay, so because if you think about it, so if she spent 1 hour doing her homework, that would be 12 problems done. If she spent 2 hours doing her homework, that's 24 problems done. That's why we're doing that multiplication. You kind of have to think like that. You have to think, okay, what's going on in this problem each hour that I add on? And if it's the case where you're going up by 12 every time, that's when multiplication is going on. Okay, so that's part A. Part B is going to go back to the problem and figure out a certain thing. So how long will Danielle need to finish her homework that has 27 problems? So you need to figure out, okay, is that T or is that H? And in this case, since T represents the total problems done, it's T. So we're going to put in 27 equals 12H, and we want our answer in hours and minutes. So in order to solve for H, we divide by 12, and you get H equals 2.25, and that is in hours. And since we want it in hours and minute, we need to think about, okay, that's 2 hours. 0.25 is 1/4, and 1/4 of an hour is 15 minutes. So 2 hours, 15 minutes. Okay? Let's go on and see another example. Okay. Hannah is going to see a Cubs game. She has $100 in her pocket. Her ticket costs $48. Okay, so her ticket costs $48. That's going to be important. Whoops. Okay, she has $100 in her pocket. That's also going to be important. Souvenirs cost $15.99 each, and you see that word each. Write an inequality that represents how many souvenirs Hannah can buy if she has $100 and needs to buy a ticket first. So inequality should key you into using one of these. We don't know which one yet. Okay, and $100 is the maximum, the most that she could spend. So whatever she spends has to be less than or equal to $100. All right, so we need to figure out then what our expression for how much she could spend would be, and that's what goes over here. Okay, so we know that the $48 happens only one time. So we're going to add 48. That happens once. The souvenirs are $15.99 each, and X is our variable for souvenirs. So $15.99X. And let me reiterate how you know that that is facing that direction. So this is telling us that this side has to be smaller. Sorry, my handwriting is bad. It's very difficult to write on here. Than this side. So this side has to be smaller than that side. And that's because she cannot spend more than the amount in her pocket. So that's why it looks like that. Okay, let's look at part B. How many whole souvenirs, and the whole is very important, whole souvenirs, can Hannah buy with the money she has and still have enough to buy a ticket? So what this is asking us to do is to solve this inequality. So 1599x plus 48 is less than or equal to 100. So we need to solve this. Subtract 48. Okay, 1599 x is less than or equal to 52. Divide by 1599. And you get x is less than or equal to, let me do this in my calculator, and you get 3.25, which is the rounded version, because it goes on forever. And again, whole souvenirs is what we're looking for. So she cannot buy more than 3, because if she buys 4, then she's going to go over her $100 limit. So 3 souvenirs. And that would be your answer. You always want your answer to relate back to the problem, so put it back into context, and that's your answer.